Okay, so here we are today in Blender 4.1, and we are going to go over some keyboard shortcuts that will speed up your workflow. And I think the main one to cover is the quick menu, which we just press Q on the keyboard and it brings up this nice little menu that we can add any kind of shortcut to pretty much that we like. And at the moment I've only got transform origins in there, so if I just click on that, it enables me to, if I press shift space, click move like that, I can move my pivot point like that. I can undo it like that. I can press Q again and switch it off. One thing that I like to do is add modifiers to my quick menu. So if I go to generate and let's say I like to use booleans a lot, so if I right click on booleans I can add to quick favorites. I also like to use weighted normals, so I'm going to right click on that and add to my quick favorites. And if I come over to the viewport, press Q again, they are now in my quick menu, so I can now do weighted normals on my cube. Another nice little keyboard shortcut is I like to make sure that I don't have any n-gons in my geometry, certainly towards the sort of end of the day. So what I might do is, if I press tab to go into edit mode, I can press A to select all the faces. In fact, if I press 3 on the keyboard, it will change my selection to faces. And now I can do a Control T and it will triangulate all my quads or n-gons. And now I can use the keyboard shortcut of Alt J and it will attempt to remove all the triangles. It won't necessarily turn everything into quads, it's not magic. But now the upside of this is that I should have a mesh that doesn't have any n-gons in it and it's actually got some quads in it as well. From here we will go on to a sort of somewhat useful little shortcut, which is just pressing T on the keyboard. If you want to clean up your user interface, you can get rid of the toolbar on the left hand side there. I think what's a little bit more useful is to press N. So if I go to object mode by pressing tab, press N, it brings up the side menu on the left where we've got a bunch of different options and add-ons that can be loaded in. And one thing that I like to do a lot here is when I have a UV editor on the left hand side of the screen, as such I have a nice little add-on. If I just go into edit mode here to check my textile density, so I might just press N to get rid of it, N to bring it back. And often I find, and you'll find yourself in a situation where you might have a hole in your mesh. So if I press X on my keyboard, I can just delete that face. So you might have something like that. So if I press 2 on my keyboard and I press Alt and Shift and then click on one of these edges, it'll select that ring of edges like that. And I can just simply press F on my keyboard and it will fill that hole. And then something I do all the time is I will press Y on the keyboard to actually detach that face from the rest of the mesh, but it's still connected to the mesh. So if I do a shift space and bring up the transform gizmo, I can move that away like that. And then I might even go one step further and press P, and it'll enable me to separate that selection into a new object. So you can see up in the outliner I've got a cube and cube.001, which is this separated face. I'm going to just undo that, put it back on there. Something I find myself doing all the time again is if I go to vert selection mode and I select verts like this, what will happen is the verts at the back don't get selected, so I need to press Alt Z on the keyboard to change into X-ray mode. And now in that same position, if I do the same move like that, the same selection, the verts at the back are also selected as well. And something I do all the time is I might want to do, say, like scale on the y-axis. So I press S, Y, and then 0, and it'll scale those verts to the same position. And likewise, do the same at the back. And I can just quickly press M on the keyboard and then merge verts by distance like that. And now it's welded all that geometry together, so there's no extra vert there at the top. And there we are. Those are a few quite handy, very common shortcuts that I use every day that help me speed up my workflow.